G'day, legends, and welcome to the Thursday session, Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and joining me at the moment is Jared. Dan will be a bit later on. But, yeah, we're going to start off the show with giving Jared the floor for the next however many minutes he needs to, wax lyrical about Kun because he's got a massive man crush on him. So over to you, mate.
All right. So I heard you mention this on the Monday podcast. And you said I was going to gloat and all that sort of stuff about Kun because I knew he could do what he done. I'm not because it's one game, but what I will say is what he was doing is what I could see. You could see he had skill. He could do stuff with the ball at his feet. You could just see he didn't have quite chemistry with other players yet, and you could see as the game went on, his confidence kind of went down when he was stuffing up things that he probably isn't used to stuffing up. Now, this game, you can't deny that he doesn't have some sort of ball skills. Like, he was pretty decent with the ball at his feet. Some of those one-touch passes he was doing, and the timing with Johnson as well, with these little through passes, like keeping them one side. Like, it feels like he's starting to actually now get a little bit of chemistry with the players around him, and that's given him confidence. So he's kind of playing similar to like what Yang was doing. Yang was stuffing up, passing interceptions. He started getting a little bit better. Thing annoys me about Yang is he'll beat 5 people and then be right in front of the goal and he won't take a shot. Whereas Kun, like, he'll beat a couple of people. He'll look for the pass. He'll look for the cross. His head is always up. You'll see with the first goal, I think it was the first one with Dyson. Dyson just points and Kun just goes, "Oh, you want it?" Boom. Just hits it to him straight away, which is something that I think we've been missing. People keep making runs and we pass it sideways or backwards. You know, it's like, well, what? These people are making runs because there's space. Like, send in 10 and hope, and if you get 1, it's better than passing it back to bloody Scales. So it's good that he's actually got his head up. He's finding passes, some great passes. He's making a couple of people miss, which is opening up the space in the box. He's not trying to get through 11 players. He's making a couple of people miss, getting through, opening up space for people. I'm just hoping that this is now the start of something. Like, I would love to see him on the right and Yang on the left. I know Maida is probably one of our better players this year, but where he doesn't play well is in that top left corner. I think they call it the wing, and he's meant to be a left winger. Like, he does everything really well except when it comes to that little wing area. So I'd love to see a game with Yang on the left and his normal side, Kun on the right, and 2 players that are going to either like take it to the byline or can both cut inside, and they're both looking for crosses and they're actually playing like wingers. And that's my rant about Yang. No, Kun.
Now,
I just hope it's a start.
No, I agree with you there, Jared. Like, for me, I think what we're guilty of, particularly in these modern times where everyone's got a phone, everyone's got Twitter or social media or whatever, is we make a quick decision now, and you can get on a podcast, you can get on social media, whatever, and just say your piece and be like, I hate this player, he's soft, he looks shit, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, imagine if we had social media. I said this numerous times, if we had it back when Henrik Larsson debuted. He didn't play well in his first couple of games. There was an own goal, or 2, if my memory is right. So you have a look at that and go, how can you, like, you got to let guys settle in. And it took Yang, a good 6 months to actually have a decent game from the start for us before he got red carded, and the game before and all that sort of stuff. For him to settle in, he's coming from the other side of the world. Look at Quan. He's now playing well, getting a consistent run of games at St Mirren. So it takes guys a bit of time. Look at Awada. Now he's getting a run of games. He's starting to play well as well. Doesn't matter if you're coming from Asia, if you're coming from Austria, you're coming from, pretty much anywhere but South America. The players come to Celtic Park and tend to do well. So, yeah, it's good to see him up and about and playing well. And Yeah, as Andrew's saying here in the comments, apparently Kun had been crook, lost weight due to dental work. Why'd we play him under those conditions? It's not fair on the player trying to make an impression. 100%. So, and then Mahesh is saying Kun best game so far. Shady has a passing game, but old man Forrest is meters quicker than him. And Livy's defense was a shambles. You have to wait till he's up
Disagree
against
with
better
that.
defense.
I disagree. Forrest came in at the end of the game when the defense was tired. But if you look at Kun, some of the plays that probably will go unnoticed is when he's running up the sideline, the defender had to grab him, pull him back, got a yellow card. If he can do that, because he's got speed, he's got pace to beat people. It's one of the, I think it's one of his best attributes is his pace. Now, if he's busting up the sideline and getting yellow cards, then that's going to put the defense on the back foot, and they're going to have to make a decision if they're going to pull that person off and put a backup on. But yeah, James Forrest, people wrote him off when he got a new contract, and I was like, why? Like, there's not a lot of old Celtic heads there. He can still play, like we just saw. People are saying, "Oh, he should start now." I'm like, no, I don't think he can go the whole 90 minutes. Like, let him do what he's good at now. Come off the bench and like be that old head, calm things down, and finish a game. But he can still play, and he's good for the locker room.
Every team needs that sort of player. Like, I look at Forrest and go, yeah, if we're playing away at Ibrox and we're hanging on to a 1-goal lead, and you look at the bench and your options there are, you can bring on, I don't know, let's just say Palmer, for instance, or you can bring on Forrest. Who do you think is going to be the right player to bring on to hold that thing and just play his role, wind down the clock, and just be the consummate professional to the end of the game to manage that game out for the win? For me, it's Forrest. So
yeah, when Palmer's been brought on for that, he's been very erratic, and he's just trying to make everything happen himself. He's not getting the team involved. He's getting the ball, trying to dribble it past people, and just taking wild shots. It's not really like, it's great if one goes in, but yeah, Forrest was actually looking to see what is the best option, and not just I'm going to just do whatever.
I think more with Forrest now, it's about the situation. He's a situational player for us. Like, in the right situation, you bring him on, he'll do a job, like managing a lead, or if we've got a lot of young players out there and we need a bit of veteran know-how and experience, you bring him in. If you've had a few injuries like we've got, or suspensions at the wing, like Palmer's now out until the international break, till the end of the international break. Yang's still suspended, so we're down a couple of wingers. You bring Forrest into the squad, you're not going to have any questions about that at all. You know he's going to do the job. So, in my opinion, you need that sort of player in the team. I'll just bring up some comments on him. On Kun, first of all. Porkchop Express saying Kun's like the German national team, slow to start, gains momentum and flying at the end. Give him time to settle. And going from Frankfurters. And then he's also said Forrest, more direct than Kun, but Kun more of a passer than Forrest. It's too early to judge Kun from Michael Ross. Andrew Galea, Forrest is still a good player. And then we've got here Mahesh, Forrest still looks like he's the quickest winger in the squad. Need his experience in the run-in. Yep. About the run-in. And then Forrest still decent, but maybe not a 90-minute player. Exactly. I reckon the most you'll get out of him is maybe a 60-minute stint. RL77, Palmer, probably magic at the fives. And Michael Ross Forrest is a tremendous player. I had to bring that up for the pun. You know the crowd here, Michael. You know you plan to. You get a good pun in the comments. There's a fair chance it's going to end up on the screen. So yeah, I just think overall it's good to see Kun getting in there. And Porkchop's giving it to Michael already. Saying a taxi for Ross this early. There you go. So I think what we'll do is we'll jump into one of the couple. We've got a fair few things to talk about on the pod, so we'll crack on now. We've given a bit of a love fest for Kun for you, Jared. So you got it out of your system. You happy?
Until next Thursday. Hopefully celebrating his hat trick.
Good man. Love it. All right. So we'll get into it. So the first thing I wanted to talk about tonight is that Celtic have released a 5th jersey for the season, along with other items as the Heritage Collection. So I think the reaction on Twitter has been absolute gold, where a whole bunch of people are saying, doing the spiel on what the letter at the end of the transfer window was. Oh, I'd do it, but I don't know if my wardrobe's gonna, it's gonna be looking better at the end of this month. We tried, but we'll look again in the off season and all that sort of stuff. So a whole bunch of people playing up to the release from the club when they said that they tried to sign players in the window and never happened. So what's your take on the release on that, Jared?
The first thing I thought of when I saw that they were bringing out a new jersey, it just reminded me of SpongeBob SquarePants. The movie, it's like, why are you opening the second Krusty Krab? Money. It's like, why are you bringing out another jersey? Money. It's not even good. Like, it's like, oh, what's the minimum amount of effort we can do just to get something out so we can get more money?
Just play into the gallery. That's the way I looked at it. Like, for me, I've seen it straight away in the color scheme. I'm like, there's only one thing I like. I think it's the hoodie or it's the zippy that's only like a quarter zippy that looks okay. And the rest of them are all rubbish, in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't spend the money on it. Whatever the price is, basically double it for down here for Australian dollars. And I'm looking at going, why would I want that when we're not going to wear that in a game? We've already released a top earlier this season that we're not going to wear in a game. So why would I want to buy that? Like the one with the white sponsorship, the Lisbon Lion thing, I love that top. That's great. But this one just looks like I'll just my
It looks
opinion.
like this.
Go on, Jared.
Go see if you're going to say what I was going to say.
Say it just looks like a combination of a Norwich top crossed with the Irish, like an Irish training top or something like that. But I just think our club sees our fan base as cash cows to be milked for more money. That's the easiest way to sum it up.
Yeah, when I saw it, I thought it was like the Irish international top. Like, it looks more like that than it does a Celtic jersey.
It doesn't even have a Celtic logo or anything on it. It's got like the 4-leaf clover on it, which we've had on a few tops, but then it's got the Irish flag on it. It doesn't even have any mention of Celtic. So
which makes
me,
it very confusing. It's just all Irish. It's just an Irish top. Like,
does Adidas sponsor the Irish national team? That's the question. Does Adidas sponsor the Irish national team? Because if they do, they're basically just gone, yeah, we'll just do that and just put this in Celtic shop. So it'll be a bit of an interesting one. Oh, we've got someone waiting in the room to come on and join the convo. So I think it's time to bring Dan in.
Give it another 5 minutes, I reckon.
Here he is. You're sitting in the naughty corner down there, Dan, with your playground stuff in the background, like your little push along mower and everything. Happy days. Welcome to the pod. I don't think he's heard that. So we'll keep talking, Jared.
Yeah. Shut up, Dan. Yep. All right. So jersey, shit, awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hoodie, okay.
Hoodie, okay. The rest of it, pretty much rubbish.
But is anyone going to buy it? Am I going to buy it? No.
No chance. RL77 is a solid black jersey with a pound sign commemorating the balance sheet. Who wouldn't buy that? Probably look better than that. Can you hear us, Dan? Doesn't look like it. So we'll just want to get his take on it. But I suppose we can come back to that in a moment. So yeah. One moment, please, everybody.
Hello?
Can you hear us, Dan?
Oh, I've got you now, boys.
There he is. He's here, everyone. We're back. Dan is here. We're just talking about the heritage tops.
Oh, perfect timing. I hate the concept, but I love the jersey. Yeah, I hate the capitalistic, oh my God, we've got to have 500 Adidas jerseys every season now and whatever else we've got to do. But again, the actual jersey is a banger. The dark green one last year was great. This one is great. Honestly, I've already ordered it, and I'm now just trying to convince my wife to pay for it for Christmas for me on my birthday.
Fair enough. He's got it figured out. Too easy.
And I do look like Frankie Boyle. Yes, that's correct.
Got a few comments here. Dan looks like a Celtic man. Ground control to Mage Dan. Frankie Boyle one. Yep. There we go. So yeah, we'll crack on to our next topic there. So I wanted to have a laugh at Bernabé missing his flight from Amsterdam to Brazil. Like RL77 is waiting on a special guest Alexander Bernabé to step off his plane. My thoughts on this is it's funny, first of all, but the other thing is, why do you think he missed the plane? What made that happen? Let's see if I got this right. Could it have been anything to do with what's going on around here? Bit of red light action. Who knows?
Ooh. I heard
Okay.
rumor I heard was he was hanging around to get himself one of the new Origins tops just before he left. You know, he's waiting on those to be in the superstore. They wouldn't give him one, but he was going to buy one before he left. So
Hey, that's the best way for him to get a Celtic top because he didn't earn much.
I actually panicked when I woke up and saw the headline saying that he missed his flight. Before actually reading the story, the first thing I thought of was, "Oh crap! Does that mean the trade's going to fall through and we're stuck with him?" And then I was like, "Oh no, he's in Amsterdam. He's halfway there. He's already left the country. Don't let him back in."
it's kind of ironic because my two greatest fears in life are getting to the airport late and seeing Bernabé pay left back for us again. So, you know, I get it. You got to get there early. I don't care if people say it's too early. Get there early and be there. And for the love of God, don't ever play Bernabé at left back.
Well, this is the first time. This is the first time this season he has. Like when the plane left, he was left back.
Yep.
Badum.
I've got to get that sound effect again. I used to have it on my soundboard. We don't have it anymore. We've got zombies. That'll do. That's for Bernie. Anyway, new contracts have been offered to Daniel Kelly, Rocco Varda, and Liam Scales. Kelly has said that he wants to extend his deal, and the others are still being discussed / negotiated if what the papers are saying is right. For me, Kelly wants to be here. He's shown enough. Get him signed up. At least 3 years, in my opinion. Get him 3-4 years. Lock him down. Rocco Varda, that's going to go down the wire, I reckon, because apparently he wants a bit more than we're willing to offer. He's probably looking at some of that English championship money or whatever on offer, and he's like, I should be getting more than that. And he's just dropped out. And, then Liam Scales, I'd like to see him signed up as well. What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, like if Liam Kelly signs this week, I'd have him starting on the weekend, like over Bernabé. Not Bernabé. Got Bernabé. Bernardo. Like, because he's done well. Bernardo he hasn't played any worse than Bernardo, and at least he's going to be here for the future. I'd let him start the next couple of games just to see how he goes. If he doesn't sign up, then he can come off the bench still, just to see if we can encourage him to sign. Vada's a weird one. Like, he hasn't come off the bench. Like, he had a chance on the game on the weekend, but we brought in Forrest. I'd like to know if that would be different if the score was 4-2 when they brought him the Kuhn off. Would they have brought Vata on instead? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know how much he's asking. But I mean, let's be real. Like pay him. Like club is so cheap. It's probably not even that much. Like, at least give him a shot. And if you're not, then you can sell him. It's not like we're paying a signing fee. Like, we've invested all this time in him. Like, let's get him signed up. And with Scales, I don't know. He's started most of the season, but we all know we're not signing him to be a starter for next season. We want someone better. Does he think he wants to sign to be a starter? Like, does he want guaranteed games? I don't know. I would be like, yeah, if he's signing to be a backup and maybe try and fight for a spot like he is, then yeah, sign him. But if he's wanting too much money and wanting to be like a crucial player, maybe not.
Yeah, with Scales, I look at it and go similar to what you're saying. If he wants to stay and be that third battle, say Naroski to be that third stringer for us, great. Hopefully in the summer we'll move out some of the dead weight. We're going to talk about Lagerbalka a bit later on, guys, so we won't dig into that now. But if we can get a good starting left-sided centre back there, then yeah, if Scales is signing to be the backup at that position and to battle Naroski to be if one of the two starters is out, he's in, fine, I can live with that. But yeah, if he wants to be that full-time starter, then that's a bit of a step backwards for us, considering he was our six-string centre back going into this summer at the start of the year, and we almost sold him to Aberdeen. So yeah, Andrew Galea is saying, I think we should be selling Scales in the summer and hopefully buy a good, strong centre half. Pork Chop Express is saying, on the centre back topic, let's hope Nat Phillips ain't available in the summer. Yeah, God, no. And then Michael Ross is saying, I'd rather play Kelly over Bernardo, 100%. So yeah, there's some movement going on there. We'll just roll into the Lagerbalka talk now. So he stated that he wants to leave Celtic for a top league at the end of the season. We'll bring Dan back in and then we'll crack back into that. There he is.
I don't know what I've done to upset the gods today, but I've got a fussy kid that didn't want to go down, and now I've apparently got shithouse internet. So I'm here for the time being. What do you want? Do you want me to just rapid fire some opinions, bang, 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 till I drop out again, or?
We're just talking about new contracts being offered for Daniel Kelly, Rocco Vada, and Liam Scales. The general consensus is get Kelly signed up and start him instead of Bernardo. Rocco Vada, we don't know what's going on there. And Scales, if we want to sign him and he accepts being a backup, say third string centre back, fine. But if he wants to be a starter, then we need to sell him and get better. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I'd probably agree with that in the large part. Scales is someone I'm happy to see kept around for, backup or, as you said, third string. Kelly is the sort of hot young thing at the moment, so we're putting a lot of faith in him. But if you were to put him next to Bernardo, I don't think Bernardo has done a whole lot more in the game time he's had than what we've seen out of Kelly. Bernardo had that sort of run of 3 or 4 games where he looked really, really quality, and we haven't really seen anything beyond that. I've been really, really disappointed in what we've seen from Bernardo, but Kelly's had his moments. Obviously, the goal against Dundee was great, and it looks like he's in the frame to come into the side in the short to sort of medium term. And I couldn't really disagree with any of the things there that you've said. Wherever we're at in terms of Lagerbielka and Welsh and the rest of them. Who knows? I know Lagerbielka's in the papers and on his social media, pimping for a game and questioning why he hasn't got one. But
well, that's our next topic, so we'll use that as a segue straight into it. So yeah, as we were saying, Lagerbalka states he wants to leave Celtic for a top league at the end of the season. So we'll just go through on his comments on that. So I'll read some of what he said here. So he almost joined Lecce, obviously. He said there were many clubs that were interested, but then there was the injury situation in the club, which meant that nothing came of it. It was cancelled because of the injury. So talking about Carter Vickers. Right now, the focus is on training as well as possible and continuing to show that I can play. We can still win the double as we fight with Rangers for the league title and stay in the cup as well. I want to play and do everything in my power to help the team win. At the same time, I know I can play in the best leagues, so it is a situation we'll review after the season. There was also another quote, asked if he'd been given a reason for his lack of games. Lagerberg said, I don't really have that. Right now, I feel like I'm really in the shape of my life. I'm significantly stronger and faster than ever, and also mentally for a long time. I've worked up a stable foundation that provides security. Then, of course, it's frustrating that I don't get to show it every week because I know I have delivered. But there's nothing else to do but keep going. I enjoy Glasgow as a city very much and Celtic as a big club. I really do have a great opportunity to develop here. I have good teammates and I feel their trust. I've been learning time. It's been a learning time here where I feel like I've developed. The only thing missing is playing time. There's fierce competition and we win most matches, and there are very talented players with whom I compete. So I have to go ahead and show that I can go ahead and show that I'm going to play. So realistically, Dan, what's your thoughts on all of that?
My question that I'd be putting to Gustav is, I mean, has the guy run over Brendan's dog, or like what's he done? Because we've had an absolute crisis of fitness and confidence in our back four and our centre backs in particular. We've had our absolute rock in CCV in and out and in and out, and clearly, even when he has played for the large part, he hasn't looked fit and comfortable. And Lagerbielke's played 9 games? I worked out based on what we paid for him, it's 388,000 per appearance at this point. I was going to do per minute, but that was just getting it was like 6,000 something per minute, which is just astounding. He's clearly not someone that Rodgers wanted. Or if he is, then, that raises a whole set of other questions. But they've signed him. They've paid good money for a guy that was the player of the year in Sweden or defender of the year in Sweden. Nothing in the signing or the player that we got led me to believe that he was going to be an absolute garbage signing. So what has happened? You know what I mean? Like he's saying he's fit, he's firing, he's ready. He's not getting a look in. He's barely, getting a look in the squad, let alone the starting 11. What is Brendan seeing in training? Or I don't know. I want to know, but I honestly, it's like we paid, as I said, $3.5 million for the guy, and we were ready to let him go 6 months in, and it was only the CCV lack of fitness that kept him at the club. What are we doing here? Like, am I nuts? Like, this is insanity for a club that penny pinches. That's a huge chunk of what we spent last year for a guy
yes,
that won't
Dan,
play.
you are nuts. Yes, Dan, you are nuts. I had to, as soon as you said, am I nuts? I was like,
yeah, ask silly questions, get silly answers. You're right.
Yeah. Jared, what's your take on it?
I'd be starting him this weekend. I don't care. Like, if CCV is playing, have him beside him. If not, have him beside Scales. Either way, I'd be starting him. He seems hungry. He wants to get his spot in the Swedish national team. He also wants a top club to pick him up next year. Like, it seems like he's going to come out firing. And also, when he does play, he hasn't done a lot wrong. I mean, he started 6 games, 5 wins, 1 draw, 5 clean sheets. That's better than like what Scales and Welsh are doing, and also they didn't look very good. So like, I don't know why he's not been in. He was on the bench last week and the week before. So I think him and Welsh were on the bench for the Hearts game. CCV went out for the next game, and Welsh took his spot because Welsh just seems to be favourite of Brendan Rodgers. Whenever he's healthy, he seems to get a game. But they obviously couldn't play together, so it needs to be Lager and one of them, or if CCV plays, I'd put him beside CCV.
So CCV is back in training at the moment, but the way I look at it is, if he's carrying a knee injury and it's just a niggle or a flare-up or whatever, I wouldn't risk him this weekend because we got like the 2-week international break off the back of it. So for me, what I'd rather do is he missed last weekend's. give him all of this week off, and then another 2 weeks. He's basically had 3.5, 4 weeks to recover and get over it. He'll be better for us for the run in off the back of that. So for me, yes, I agree with you, Jared. I'd be starting him this weekend and getting him and Scales out there and let them play together and see how we go. I'm going to bring up some comments on it because there's quite a few of them here. So Pork Chop Express, couldn't blame him for really wanting to move. He's been mismanaged. Andrew Galea saying Lagerbelk hasn't been treated well by Rodgers. He's right to want to leave. Michael Ross Lagerbelk was very respectful towards the club despite how he's been treated.
I agree with that. Just to jump in on that, I agree. I thought he was really respectful when you read his comments. And I mean, he spoke about a breakdown in communication and that he's not really getting any answers from the manager or from anyone on the coaching staff. If I was in that position, I wonder whether I'd be as diplomatic and cordial.
I'd be absolutely feral to deal with, I can tell you that much. Andrew was saying Lagerbelk is only centre-back that hasn't been injured, yet he still can't get a game. Figure that out. RL77 was, I generally support Rodgers, but I'd pick Lagerbelk over Welsh and Scales. Yeah, definitely over Welsh for me. Michael Ross is saying Lager has hardly featured. He must have pissed Rodgers off. John Hutchinson saying there's always two sides to a story, you guys. Andrew Galea makes a good point here. Rodgers didn't rate Quan either, and he's dominating every SPFL game he plays for St Mirren. Maestro saying obviously Brennan didn't think he's good enough. Head of recruitment away. I feel sorry for the lad. I think it's similar like that with that's very similar to the Tilio situation and Quan. It's all the same sort of thing for me. And Andrew Galea is saying Rodgers is a weirdo. I normally am like, no need to, call names and stuff, but yeah, it is weird how he's dealing with it.
But even like with that Quan comment, like you also look like Quan was a star over in Korea. Yang came over as one of the young up and coming players, and Iwata was the number one player in Japan before he came over, and then Harley got game time, and then we've also got this kid called Home that is just sort of been forgotten in the midfield. We keep complaining about our midfield. Now, Home was apparently one of the young up-and-coming players in Europe. Like, he's on all these lists to be a future star. And he's on our team, and we're not seeing anything from him. And I'm starting to think, well, is it us? Like, what if we sent Home over to St Mirren? Would he be MVP of the league? Like, what's going on with all these players that are coming in with such high prospects that if you put them on another team, they'd end up getting sold for millions more, and they're not even making it on to our bench sometimes.
It's a fair question.
We've got here, so Mahesh has said in the comments, the problem's more at Rodgers' doorstep and his poor decision-making than these players. And in Pork Chop Express is saying maybe players can excel in other teams, but pressure on them is too much of them to cope with at our club. I don't know whether... How can you get pressure on them if they're not getting a game? That's a whole nother side of it. RL77, yes, mate, I get it. Marco, Tiario, yep, I will wear my tiara. Don't worry, it's down there. It's going to happen into the season. I'll cop it.
Talking about pressure, like I said, 6 starts for Lager, 5 wins, 1 draw, and the last time we saw him, he was scoring the winning header in Europe, and we haven't seen him since. So
his last 3 games have been clean sheets as well. So
yeah,
there you go.
Exactly.
I think the interesting thing for me, we heard and we've seen throughout his whole career that Ange Postecoglou likes to keep a bit of distance from his players. And he's spoken about that. It's easier to cut them or move them or sack them or sell them or whatever. Rodgers comes up and, he was talking about Abada's like a son to me. And, he clearly has a different approach to his players. But it seems like he's either so in your corner, aka Abada, he's like a son to me, it's a difficult situation, blah, blah, blah. Or you're frozen out. You're getting nothing. Lager. Possibly other players. Who knows what we're seeing in that regard. But for a guy that's supposed to be this man manager and a guy that is able to get the best out of guys and work with people. We're not seeing that. You either fit in his plans or you don't. He doesn't seem like he wants to work with players to either fit into his system or alter what he wants to do for the players that he's got.
Yep, sounds about right. And who mentioned Kobayashi before, guys? Maestro saying Kobayashi. Come on, lads. Who mentioned it?
Who? Never heard of him.
Must have been someone in the comments. There you go.
Kyogo's translator, is it? I've never heard of him.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I just think it's one of those bit of a doozies where so the comments, my opinion, towards the club were fair, reasonable, well measured. He said his piece. I want to see him get a games now. 2 reasons: either it'll prove that he's good enough for us, or it'll put him in the shop window. And then the second thing is he capable? Do we think he's capable of doing well in a top league, Lagerbelka? For me, he'll be too slow for England. I think the French league would suit him. I think the Italian league would suit him. But if we thought, this is where I think Spain won't work for Lagerbelka. And the reason I say that is because we thought Starfelt was slow and he's struggling a bit in Spain at the moment. So if he can't cut it there, I doubt Lagerbelka would do well in Spain. So for me, realistically, he's got to go to Italy or France, maybe Germany, depending on the team as well. But yeah, if he wanted to move. But I'd like to see him get a chance with us first before anything happens.
Geez, you'd love to see Carl Starfelt back right now, wouldn't you?
You could bring his missus too. Bring him home.
No comment.
I just want another Aussie at Celtic.
Yeah, well, that too.
Well, she declared for Argentina.
She's still from your hometown, though. She's from down the road here. So she's good enough for me.
I was backing for her to make the Matildas, and then she decided to play for Argentina, and I was like, you're dead to me.
Fair enough. All right. So, Dan, I'm throwing to you to run with this one. International call-ups. Who got it?
Fuck if I know.
You asked for it on the run sheet and then you dropped that on me? Good on
I
you.
didn't ask for it. I think that was Jared. No, I haven't got I couldn't give a flying fuck about international football, to be honest. There's a couple of guys got for Scotland, surely. Callum's out. I know that. CCB, I think, is linked up with the USA again.
I think
that's just to do. Well, I did notice not so much Celtic, but the other Scottish squad for the friendlies has got 4 keepers in it, which is fucking mental. More keepers than strikers. I've honestly got no idea. I'll tune in and watch a tournament when it comes to international football. I got no interest beyond that.
I thought it was interesting that Ralston made the squad. He was struggling to make the squad when he was actually playing consistently for us and playing well. Now he's on the bench. He's getting picked. But one big omission I thought was Matt O'Reilly. Like, he was playing well for us. He got finally called up to Denmark, and he hasn't been called up for these last 3 games. And I'm wondering if it's because of how he's been playing for us, and I think he's not playing as well. Yeah. So I'm hoping that kind of like being snubbed makes him come out firing.
You'd hope so. Like, I'm just trying to have a look now to see if there's any info on there, but on who's caught up. I know Taylor and Ralston were 2 of them that got called up.
Palma is being called out. He's going to play for Honduras, so I don't know if he's going to play this week. He's injured at the moment, so that'll be interesting. Let's hope he doesn't make that worse. Same with CCB. I wasn't sure if he was going or not, but I would have hoped not. But these are all just friendlies. Like, we're allowed to say no, aren't we?
There's 4 friendlies, yeah, and then that's it.
I think Scotland's got 2.
2 for this squad, and then there's 2 more down the line, and then
right.
the Euros.
Yeah,
I think. I don't know. Again, clearly not my strong suit because I just don't care. But I
I think
vaguely
Shane's
remember
more the
reading
one on
that
the whole
somewhere.
podcast that'd be more interested.
Me, I was only interested about it because Palmer's been called up and he's currently out injured for us, not playing. Thought that was a bit something to look out for, make sure he actually comes back, and the fact that O'Reilly kind of didn't get called up this time when he was starting to get a regular call up, but he's been shit. So I really hope that lights a fire up his ass.
Yep, I hope so as well. Andrew's asking me a question here. Who's going to be the next Aussie, Jared? Ah, geez, it's a doozy.
3 words for you, mate. The next Aussie would Reich.
Is it Jordan Voss?
Nah. Let's go Geordie Voss's younger brother, who's just made his debut at Melbourne Victory. Let's get on that boss wagon. We can't get Geordie, we'll go for the brother. And that's a joke, by the way. I do like this one, Andrew. Metcalf and St. Paulie's pretty good.
Yeah, that Connor Metcalf?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him in the A-League.
The one I would like to sign, if we could possibly do it, would be Aiden Hustic, who was at On-Track Frankfurt. I wouldn't mind him in the number 10 for us. We talk about needing a good quality number 10 for Europe. He, won the Europa League against Rangers playing in that role, converted a penalty. He'd be one that I'd be like, get him in, get him across from Germany if you can. I know he's only got a year left on his contract. Bring him in, get him in the number 10 role. And if we were to lose O'Reilly, I think he could be at the same sort of level for us within no time if he's not already there.
Hristic's on loan in the Eredivisie too.
Oh, there you go.
I think he's Heracles. I think Zwala, it's Heracles, I'm sure. I saw him getting a lot of praise on Twitter the other night for a massive performance. So
yeah,
I've got one that's probably not going to be popular. I would like Keanu Bacchus. Probably get some backlash for that, but everyone keeps saying we need physicality in the midfield. He plays well when he plays for Australia as well. He's probably the best midfielder in the last couple of games I've seen.
Who's the next Aussie at Celtic? I figured it out. Let's go to Hearts and buy Kai Rouse. That'll sort out our left centre back position. Done.
Grab Callum Neuenhoff while you're there.
Yeah, why not?
I like Neuenhoff when he was at Sydney back in the day.
Yep. No, there's some decent players though coming through. So yeah, the thing with Hustic, as Andrew saying in the comments, more a Rodgick type, which would be good in a Rodgers system if he hangs around. But the thing with him as well is my wife's cousin is best mates with him. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for him as well. So yeah, we'll crack on with it anyway. Next topic will be what the episode's named after, keeping up appearances. If you saw the thumbnail, yeah, I know, Michael, we couldn't afford Hristic. I know it's only dreaming. But keeping up appearances is a topic I wanted to bring up a few weeks back when it was announced that Joe Hart was retiring at the end of the season. So thought, why not dive into it now? So with Joe Hart retiring at the end of the season, how will his time at Celtic be remembered? I'll go to you, Jared, on that. We're going to go into things about his legacy and rating and stuff off the back of it. So we'll just talk about that bit first, about how will his time be remembered?
A bit up and down, I think. Hopefully, he'd be remembered as like a leader, someone. I'd like to remember more for the partnership we had with CCV and Starfelt. Like, how many games did they play and we didn't have a loss when those three were on the field together? Like, that was amazing. Like, he had a little bit of a dip at the start of this season, but then he's come back strong. Like, I'd say this year he's been our best player, like in terms of consistency at least. We've been letting 1 or 2 goals in, but I think we're all in agreement that we're pretty much blaming the centre backs for that. But I mean, even on the weekend, we almost let another one in. He had a brilliant save with his foot. Like, there's no one else in front of that. So I'd hope he'd be remembered as like Joe Hart, the legend, and we got to finish off his career with him in like really good form, and I think he's been fantastic this year, and especially the 2 years under Ange. I don't think we could have asked for a better keeper, and I think he's got too hard a time for. The whole team was playing crap.
I'll jump in now with my one. I'll look at it and go, number 15, Joe Hart, was an absolute beast. Number 1, Joe Hart, until the last few weeks, has kind of looked like Father Time's catching up with him a little bit, but he's always been. I think he's done well for us, considering the amount of money we spent on him. Ange coming in, there was a rebuild. He needed someone, a senior player, to come in and marshal the troops and get things set up and rolling. And Joe took on that challenge, and he wasn't great with the ball at his feet, but he went out there and had a crack at it anyway and everything. So for me, I'll look at it and I'll remember him as guy coming up the road. Could have easily had that reputation. I played for England so many times. I've done this, I've done that, I've won the EPL. But he came up, he's bought into what the club's about, and yeah, he just gets it, and he's been quality for us in the main overall. So I'm happy with what we've had from him. Dan, we'll go to you now.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't disagree with what you've said. He came in at a time when we were all undergoing a significant rebuild after a period and a season of real turmoil, and he was a solid contributor and a big part of the reason we were able to put together that great period under Ange. I think this year, as you said, that we were certainly, and I'll hold my hand up, as critical as anyone on certain things, and there were certainly areas where you started to think he was looking his age and then some. But when you look at statistically, I mean, if you were just to read the papers, Jack Butland is the second coming of the world's greatest keeper. Like, he's everything that's ever needed to be between the sticks, and he's never conceded a goal. But while he does outperform Hart in everything statistically, it's not by much. They're actually fairly close together in the middle of the pack when it comes to keepers in the SPFL this year. That's like save percentage and expected save performance, all that sort of stuff. They're actually not that far off. So the performance this year, he probably catching strays from being behind a centre half pairing of Scales and Welsh, and dealing with Bernabei and all sorts of other dramas that we've had on further up the pitch this year. Overall, I think he's top 4 or 5 keepers in my lifetime at Celtic, comfortably. And there's a debate where he sits in that sort of top 4 for me that I guess we might sort of explore a little bit. But I thought overall he's for a guy that came up from England, and I'd heard I think there was some stories that he was a bit up himself and a bit arrogant, and we were getting this guy that was a bit of a knob from what I was sort of expecting. I think he's come in and been a leader and seemed like a great guy too, which he does a lot of we did a lot of the social media stuff with the club, and you've seen a lot of him in his time at the club, and I think you can fault him for that.
Yep, 100%. So just off the back of that, you went on the tangent there. So I want to get what will his legacy at the club be, which we pretty much all touched on, and where do you rate him on the list of all-time Celtic goalkeepers in your lifetime? So we had a bit of a chat about that in our group chat. I was just trying to get a list of goalkeepers up. So the best I could come up with, I can just rattle off everyone we've had at the club since that played in the 2000s there. So Arthur Borich, Mark Brown, Javier Sanchez-Broto, Rab Douglas, David Marshall, Dimitri Karine, Jonathan Gould. We keep skimming through here. Keep going through this list.
Lukasz Shaluska, mate. Don't forget Lukasz Shaluska.
Yep, we got him. And then we've got all the other ones that were in our group chat, which I'll bring up now as well. So, yeah, we've had plenty. So, yeah, like Hart, obviously, so we're talking about. And then you've had Fraser Forster, you've had Craig Gordon, you've had Scott Bain, Barkas. What do we got? Oh, there was a few others in the list. De Vries, Magnus Hedman, Stuart Kerr, Carl Muggleton, whole bunch of others there. So, yeah, let's just go. They always say as Americans is what's your Mount Rushmore? Let's just go. What are our top 5? How would he make your top 5? And then how would you place your top 5 keepers you seen in your lifetime? So, Jared, we'll start with you.
All right. Number 1, Packy Bonner. He played 632 games for Celtic and had a 40.19% clean sheet rate. So, and he was the first keeper I remember watching when I was a kid. I thought he was great. Then I would have Arthur Boric, 222 games for Celtic, 39.19 clean sheet. Not as good, but not far off. Then I would go Joe Hart. Joe Hart played 142 games for us, let in 134, which I think this season has really padded those stats. But he's had 59 clean sheets over those 142 games. It's not too bad. Then I would go Craig Gordon, who actually has the record, 27 clean sheets in a season. But he only played 52 games that season, 54% clean sheet record. But yeah, he currently has the record for the most in the season. And then probably I can see David Marshall. I did like David Marshall. I was thinking about it, but I'm going to go with Fraser Forrester for my number 5. 197 games and a 52% clean sheet record. And goalkeepers are like hotels. What you want is clean sheets.
Lovely. So I'll go next. My top 5 is pretty simple. Number 1 for me, again, is the holy goalie. I love my goalkeepers mad as a cut snake. And he was mad. He was absolutely, but he was quality for us. And I just really liked the holy goalie. So he'll be number 1. Number 2, the reason I said from 2000 onwards is because the 90s were a nightmare. Let's just push that to the side. Number 2 for me would be Fraser Forster. The performances that we've seen from him and the fact that a guy his size had the agility, he had to get down right, get down left, that sort of stuff, and make big saves. He's the only goalkeeper I can remember in probably the last 15 years or so for us that in Europe has actually made us more secure. And you look at him and go, yeah, he can win us single-handedly. If we get hit on the counter, he can single-handedly win us some points here. So he gets number 2. Number 3 for me is a bit of a tough one because I don't know if Joe gets this spot. And the only reason he doesn't is because I'm going to was never a massive fan of him, but for me, it was Craig Gordon gets his spot just for the fact that he was part of that invincible treble team. That was the only thing that put him over Joe Hart. Joe Hart gets number 4 for me. If we got Joe Hart younger, like say if we got him before he went to Burnley or whatever it was, and then to West Ham, if we got him at that point, then when he came back from Torino, if we got him there and he was here for how he is, he would have been further up the list. And number 5, just because I can't stand him and I'm just doing this to take the piss, I'm going to put Scott Bain there. Just because he's been around for that long. He reminds me of a cockroach. You know, you could nuke something and I'm sure you'd still have bobby pins, cockroaches, and Scott Bain sitting on the bench in a goalkeeper's uniform.
5th is kind of the bench for Mount Rushmore too, so that's really fitting.
Yep, perfect.
He's just sort of sitting around waiting to get a game if anything happens to any of your 4 guys on the statue.
Yep, 100%.
All right, I'll make mine nice and easy. I couldn't go past number 1, Vasilis Barkas. The guy was a brick wall.
Old cabbage hands.
I don't know. It's the last time I was ever excited about us signing a goalkeeper, like genuinely excited, and it was fucking horrendous.
He looked like a bloody accountant though. How could you get excited? Just you looked at him and you was like, he looks like an accountant.
You want to know? And I've never trusted the guy since. One of my best mates is Greek, and he had the biggest raps on him. Just couldn't. He's like, you've signed an absolute star, and I'm like, well, we want to. We've paid 5-6 mil for this guy. Like, I hope he's sharp, and he still hasn't lived it down. You know, it's one of those things I'll still mention. You know, death taxes and how fucking tremendously bad Vasilis Barkas was.
Before you jump in there, I just want to quickly just touch on a comment here. Michael Ross, no mention for Paddy Bonner. Okay, being honest, he would be 5th on my squad.
He was number 1 on mine.
I was going to say
632 games, 40.19% clean sheet record. Number 1 on my list.
Yep. Totally tuned out there for Jared's list.
Shows how much attention he pays to you, Jared. He must be like, nah, mute him.
Yeah.
No, look, I'm not going to break any barriers. For me, number 1 is Boric. All things equal, it's him and Foster at a almost dead heat, but the wind-ups, the crew, you know, you've got to throw extra points for the guy that could just cause so much outrage and fury amongst the absolute scum of the earth across the river. So the holy goalie, Fraser Foster 2. I've got Joe Hart 3rd. It's bit of a toss-up, but you know, I've got him 3rd. Craig Brown. There's one for you. Craig Gordon to round it out on my my Mount Rushmore with. I didn't even think of a 5th, but I used to like Rab Douglas back in the day. Give him a Guernsey, you know.
Chuck Rab in. There you go. I'm going to put an honourable mention goes to Jerry Taylor. If you know, you know. From the Axom, if you watch that show and you saw their charity thing, I'll give Jerry a shout out as a you know, honourable mention just because he was the goalkeeper in that game, and yeah, fun times. All right, so during the international break, we'll have a bit of time off during it. So every show is gonna get a week off at some point. So we've got a pre-recorded episode from our deep dive podcast that we do, diving into the club's financial results and everything that came out a few weeks back. So that's going to be released during the international break. I'm hoping to do 1 or 2 Tim talks as well and have them out during the break as well. So yeah, just wanted to let you know what the plan is for the upcoming international break. But let's put that aside and let's talk about this weekend's game. So we're playing St Johnstone at Celtic Park on Saturday. I think it's 2 a.m. Melbourne and Sydney time, 1 a.m. for you, Jared, up in Brisbane on Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. So we're playing St Johnstone. Any matchups you think we need to look out for, Dan?
There's a few. If I'm honestly, I'm just waiting for my notes to reload, but I don't think St Johnstone are as terrible as they've looked this season. They are a decent side, and they are, I guess, able to sit reasonably compact. I don't think they're easy to break down. I think Levine has got them fairly solid at this point. I think they were pretty impressive. Did they get the win this morning against Aberdeen 1-0? Them or Ross County, I can't remember now.
Just checking that.
They didn't play this morning.
Yeah, someone beat Aberdeen this morning.
They drew with Livy on the week. I think it was. Yeah. They beat Aberdeen back in February. Then there was 1-1 draw with Livy.
All right, yeah. So I've mixed them up with Ross County. Honestly, I thought they were reasonably decent. They've not got a lot of results. They did get a draw at Celtic Park earlier in the season, and I thought they were a decent shout at home as well. To be honest, had some chances, probably didn't finish them. So overall, I don't mind. I can't think of the winger's name now. I had it all noted, but my tech issues have thrown me all out of whack. Their left winger, I don't mind at all. So I'm going to Google who their left winger is, and if someone can think of the name. That's the one. Yeah, I don't mind him at all. I think he's quite decent. So he'll cause some issues on the right for us.
Yep. And Nicky Clark through the middle.
Mahesh is saying that Levine is almost half the expected goals against for St Johnson, so that doesn't surprise me at all. There's just a few other names I see on their team sheet. So one for the Aussies, Ryan McGowan's playing there. In their last game, he started at centre back. Nicky Clark's always dangerous in their lineup. In my fantasy football, whenever I played it, I always had him because he was always good for some points. Stevie May playing for him as well. They've got Carey in the midfield and Andy Considine still floating about the league. So, yeah, there's a few names there that
he must be as old as me, is he?
I don't know how old
they're
you
all
are.
on the bench, but they're coming on. They're their James Forrests.
Yeah. Once they get one goal, he brings them on just to clog the thing up. So yeah, it's a bit of a interesting one. So they've got some players there. What will be your predicted starting lineup, Jared, and your score prediction?
Okay, well, I'm going to start with the most obvious. Nicholas Kuhn at right wing should be on everyone's starting sheet. I'll go Hart, Johnson. We're going to assume CCV's out, so I'm going to go Lagerbielke, Scales, left back. I know I'll go Taylor. I'd love to see Maida play left back, but I know it's not going to happen. But no one's kicking the ball over the top of our left back if Maida's there. Midfield, Kelly, O'Reilly, and Iwata. Maida playing left, and in the middle, I'm going to say Kyogo.
There's a few people here in the comments saying, I can't see Rogers changing the starting 11. You've got Kyogo should start, but Rogers likes the Irishman. Maestro saying I'd go Kyogo with Ida. And then you've got to play Kyogo, get him ready for the Huns. Mada just scored a hat trick. So yeah, I'm looking at it going, it's going to be an interesting one. Dan, what changes would you make, and what's your score prediction?
Look, I fairly similar. I'm of the assumption that it's going to be Welsh and Scales in the centre half roles. I'd plump for Lagerbielke too, just to see what he's got, but I don't think that's going to happen. My midfield three would be Bernardo, Iwata, and O'Reilly. I think that's just where we're at the moment. I'm not sure you want to start Kelly. I do want to see him come on and get game time, but I'm not sure that I'm starting him at this point. I've got to have Maeda. I mean, as you said, he just scored a hat-trick and shown that he might actually be a better striker than a winger. And so I'll be moving him, not moving him further away from goals, that's for sure. So he's on the left. I've got to give it to Kuhn. I thought he was great against Livingston, and I've probably been his harshest critic. I would start Kyogo, but I expect Ida to start. As it was said in the comments there, Brendan has a bit of a thing for Ida, so I wouldn't be surprised if he starts up top.
Fair enough. Yeah, for me, it'd be Hart and goals, obviously. Then the left and right back pick themselves in Johnson and Taylor. Scales at left centre back, right centre back. As we said earlier, Carter Vickers is back in training, but I don't think it's worth the risk playing him this weekend. Give him the extra week off. So I'll be wanting Lagerbielke in. Then in the midfield, I said on Monday, I think O'Reilly's looking tired. Now, you guys said he didn't get called up for the Danish team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the international break will help him. So I'm not going to rest him now, because if he was called up for them, I would have given him the game off. So realistically, I'll be going O'Reilly, Iwata, and Kelly. Either Kelly or Home, one of those two. I want to see both of them get a run on the weekend. Up front, be Kyogo, it would be Kuhn, and it would be Maeda. And my score prediction is we're going to beat them 4-2.
I'll go 3-1. We definitely cop at least one goal, but we should we should have enough to see him off.
I'm saying too, for the simple fact that if it's Welsh and Scales together again, I'm just like, yeah, you haven't given me anything to, brag about or anything like that as a centre back pairing. So yeah, I think we'll leak a couple. Michael Ross is saying 4-1. Maish is saying home and away XG is predicting a 2 to 3 goal margin of Celtic.
I'll go 3-1. I forgot to give my prediction. And I'm going to say Kuhn is going to score.
Andrew's saying we'll smash him, mate, is on fire. So we're all up and about. Let's get a nice win here. Andrew's 4-0. Handy. We'll get a nice win. We'll go through to the international break. And, everyone will be living the dream off the back of it. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate it. If you're watching on Twitter or X and you haven't done so, give our page a follow on there. If you're on the YouTube channel, hit like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live every week. If you're watching on Facebook, like our group. Like the page, join the group. Instagram, you can find us at Celtic Down as well. Not much goes on there. It's just there because, I don't know, I had it for fun, shits and giggles more than anything. But, just thanks everyone again. Appreciate it. And we'll go final thoughts before we call it a day. So, Jared, you got a final thought?
Well, now I've got to start preparing. I'm in the semi-finals for the Australian, for Queensland Raw Comedy Fest. So I need to work out what I'm doing on Sunday for that. And so that's where my thoughts are right now.
Happy days. Dan, your final thought?
Look, off the back of Mr. Beale's, the outing of Mr. Beale's burner and the outing of a second burner for Western Sydney Wanderers manager Mark Rudan, if you're a professional manager, don't go on Twitter and slag people who slag you off. Just don't do it, because you're going to get caught out. You're going to look like a massive flog. And if you do it, and I'm looking directly at Marco Rudan here, don't use your initials and your date of birth as the username of your burner account. You absolute flog. Great advice.
Yep, fair enough. And my final thought is directed at you, Dan. Go the Storm. Hail, hail. See you next week.